Today in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. But today's topic is not only current but very relevant. But because today is Sunday and today is a day when we are going for a thought leadership series. And in that we have only one chief guest with us whom we are going to put questions. But before I will come to the main topic, I would like to inform you that the country is celebrating today Raksha Bandhan. Raksha Bandhan is a popular traditionally Hindu ceremony which is celebrated in India, Nepal and other parts of the Indian subcontinent and among people around the world influenced by Hindu culture. On this day, sisters of all ages tie a talisman or amulet called the Rakhi around the wrists of their brothers, symbolically protecting them, receiving a gift in return, and traditionally investing the brothers with a share of the responsibility of their potential care. According to Hindu mythology, the great Indian epic in Mahabharata, Draupadi, wife of the Pandavas, had torn the corner of her sari to prevent Lord Krishna's wrist from bleeding because Lord Krishna had inadvertently hurt himself. Thus, a bond between brother and sister developed between them, and he promised to protect her, which he proved afterwards. Another story of Rakhi is associated with Rani Karnavati of Chittor and the Mughal Emperor Humayun. Rani Karnavati was the widowed queen of the king of Chittor. Her kingdom was attacked by Bahadur Shah, Sultan of Gujarat, and she realized that she will not be able to protect her kingdom from the invasion of the Sultan of Gujarat. Therefore, she sent a Rakhi threat to Mughal Emperor Humayun. The emperor was overwhelmed by the gesture and started off towards Chittor with his troops without wasting time to protect Chittor from the invasion. Raksha Bandhan is observed on the last day of the lunar month of the Shravan, which typically falls in August. Media conference with Lal Goel wishes you on this auspicious occasion. Now, Thought Leadership Series. Crisis moments create opportunity. Problems and crises ignite our greatest creativity and thought leadership as it forces us to focus on things outside the norm. Thought leadership is fundamental in business today and consists primarily of finding and sharing great information in a way that attracts and retains. Thought leadership is when a leader's thoughts are being used by leaders to lead others. Thought leadership is influencing a narrative by understanding what needs to be done. A thought leader can be recognized as an authority in a specific field and whose expertise is sought and often rewarded. That can be an expert, a historical figure, or a wise person with worldly impact. In this series, we will be asking straight questions and we expect straight answers from our guest. And today, to discuss this very, very important topic, and that is how to make India a tourist hub. I have today a very, very eminent person who is, again, a thought leader in this field with his experience and with his knowledge in this field. So I would like to invite and introduce our guest today, and he is Dr. Vikram Kamath. Dr. Vikram Kamath, welcome to our show. Dr. Vikram Kamath is the founder chairman of the Wits Kamath Group, a chain of hotels and restaurants spanning multiple brands. He is a gold medalist from the IHM Mumbai. He completed his master's from Pune University and went on to get his doctorate in business administration from George Washington University, Pune. Mr. Vikram launched the successful full-service business hotel brands Wits at an early age of 22. From then to taking Wits international, now with countries like Thailand, he has played a pivotal role in achieving several milestones at Wits Kamath's group over the last decade. Food and beverage is the chain's biggest strength and proud to be known as the food people. He observed the gap in the demand and supply for business hotels in Tier 2 and 3 cities, which led to the introduction of the group's first ever budget business hotels, Purple Beds by Wits. The group is also widely known for its chain of vegetarian highway restaurants under the brand Kamath's. Mr. Vikram Kamath established the chain further by making it the largest and the only vegetarian restaurant chain to be listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. The renewed focus led to foray into varied standalone cuisine restaurants, though four new brands. The Urban Dhaba, Pepper Fry, and Waha Malwan, with Pepper Fry and Urban Dhaba receiving some of the most coveted awards from the likes of HT Media and others. He was also instrumental in the family ventures of establishing India's first eco-hotel chain of five-star hotels, Orchid, and expansion to over 1,000 rooms in Mumbai and other cities. The brands have gained a cult status for themselves in the hospitality industry since their inception based on the foundation he built. He has 2 patents applied in his name, with numerous awards, prizes, and recognitions over the years. Mr. Vikram Kamath has established himself as an entrepreneur, hotelier, and even an author with 8 books to his credit. Welcome, Dr. Vikram Kamath, on our show. Dr. Vikram Kamath, this series, the Thought Leadership series, in which I will be putting straight questions to you, and I expect that you will be giving straight answers.
Yes, of course, sir.
So my first question is, do you think today the India is not a tourist hub in real sense? What you say about this?
No, not at all. India, what potential we have. Neither our domestic tourism business is active. Neither our international tourism is very active in terms of what potential and what reach we should have. Very small countries like Dubai, Malaysia, and to a large extent even Singapore. Singapore built today, it might be considered a financial hub, but its starting was basically as a tourist hub. Today, because of Hong Kong having collapsed, that major money is going through Singapore. But it started off as a tourist hub. And these countries, or look at even Thailand, these countries have done a fantastic job with far lesser people, with far lesser resources, and today coming out much ahead of us. So I don't think India is a tourist hub. And even if you see normally how our politicians talk, they only talk of India trying to make India compete with China as a manufacturing hub. But never do we think of ourselves as, oh, we can also earn foreign exchange not just by manufacturing, but by exporting tourism, that is getting foreigners here also. And even our domestic tourist market is very poor. I mean, how many people have visited? I posed this question to all these viewers on the show who are Indian. How many of you all have visited Taj Mahal? There is an aspiration to visit Singapore, go to Europe, go to America. But how many people have visited our own Taj Mahal, which is an international monument, or even for that matter, Ajanta Ellora, or any of the World Heritage sites which people are coming from abroad to see? So whether people from abroad come or no, definitely as Indians we should visit these places and these states. So to answer your question, no, not at all. I don't think we are even 10% of what tourist hub potential we have. We are not at all there.
Okay, Dr. Kamath, you mentioned that about Singapore, Thailand, and China. Now, Singapore, if you will see the history, although it's a very small country, we say the city country, but were having a USP. At one time, they were the electronics hub. And the tourists, and especially from India, people used to go to Singapore to purchase the electronics, namely television and VCR at that time, and bring to India. That now that they have changed the shift when after 1991, when our government under Dr. Manmohan Singh opened as a finance minister opened the economy. So they have now shifted and they make the real tourist hub by providing those facilities which were not there earlier and upgrading those facilities. That was the USP. Thailand, yes, due to the beauty of the place as well as all other things, that has also have some USP. When we talk about China, as you mentioned about China, China was having heritages like in India, but they have changed and they've become so modernized that people have started not only going for the manufacturing or industrial, but also for the tourism. They have emphasized. Don't you think India, when they are insisting on manufacturing or they are concentrating on manufacturing, should also come out with something, create a USP? Because as you mentioned about Taj Mahal or Ajanta Ellora, there are many places, and with the diversity, or and you say the even the like we have everything whatsoever is required for a tourist. We have places like Goa, Kerala, even I can say even Karnataka, Maharashtra, where there are Tamil Nadu, name any where we have the sea. How much potential is there? Why? What is lacking? Is it a government's will, or our nature, human nature? Indians are not interested that we should have tourists coming to India much.
I don't think it's about Indians not liking tourists much or anything like that. I think it's the mindset in overall of the government always seems to be very old school in terms of thinking that job creation or progress is only through manufacturing. So that is what actually impedes the thought, where you can realize once they realize that tourism, see, because tourism is that kind of a thing which is like it's a service industry, and so you can't see it completely, whereas manufacturing एक आंकड़े, what does government want? Government wants figures. So now today if you tell it's like our mothers or our wives, what kind of extra love, affection, service they are giving us, that cannot, you cannot measure it, but you can feel it. So like that, tourism is having a very difficult to quantify. Oh, how many taxi drivers got employed because of tourists? You can't quantify it. You cannot quantify. Yes, you can maybe quantify how many people came to see a monument, but you cannot quantify all the other benefits which tourism generates. Tourism is creating more job creation, more money circulation than manufacturing. Manufacturing is only one transaction, whereas in tourism, person is using transport, he might come by flight, he will use a car. And some of the states you mentioned, Goa, Kerala, they are excellent example. I think each state and each locality will have to realize what it has which is unique. For example, Orissa is having one of the most important, absolutely, which people many times forget, and I have seen it also. Orissa is having many things related to Buddhism, because the great king Ashoka, when in the Kalinga War, he converted to Buddhism after seeing the horrors of war. The actual stone edict on which he gave the declaration, and where he converted, a huge stone is there where the original stone edict is still there at that site. So these are the things which each state, each locality will have to find out what is unique about it. Certain cities like Delhi, they are going in one direction where they are making themselves a F&B hub, allowing restaurants to be open till 3 a.m. officially, which is great, because I am sure these kind of moves will make the city much safer. What makes Bombay safe? Bombay is safe because people are traveling for work on the streets all the time, and there's movement. There'll automatically be more Olas, there'll be more Ubers, there'll be more autos. So each state will have to decide what it has unique. Kerala went the backwater way, Goa went the beach way. And even if you see, to add to your example about Singapore, Dubai did the same thing. Dubai was only famous for gold. That वहां से गोल्ड सस्ता लेके आएंगे, और अगर यहाँ से कस्टम में पकड़ा नहीं तो हमारा फायदा हो गया. So they converted that footfall into tourist footfall. And today Gold Souk is one very small aspect of Dubai as a whole. So yes, everybody starts off with some advantage, and you have to turn that advantage in a tourism way. But you have to find out what advantage you have which nobody else has.
Dr. Kamath, you mentioned about the services. See, Indians by nature, because our main motto always was Atiti Devo Bhavo. We
Correct.
consider the guest as a god. When we have that feeling, why? What is lacking? Because service-wise, even I'm sure you have traveled a lot and you have seen in other parts of the world, the services which our hotel industry are providing, is unique, and I must say not comparable with other hotels in whether it's in the States or in the UK, anywhere in the Europe, you will not find that type of hospitality what we have in India. Then why the tourists are not coming to India? Is the reason is cost factor? Although India is very cheap for a tourist from USA or from UK or the Europe because of the conversion rate, for them it is very cheap.
So we
Or the reason, sorry.
so coming to India or even the tourists within these like very infrastructure.
Yes, Dr. Kamath, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes, Dr. Kamath, you can go ahead, please.
Sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Perfect. So to answer your question, it's not just about foreign tourists, but even when we think about Indian tourists, the whole focus has to be on creating infrastructure. Infrastructure of variety of types. Simple things like connectivity. Many destinations are there, but the connectivity is poor. For example, let us take Aurangabad. Maharashtra is gifted because we have five in the state itself. We have five World Heritage sites which no other state in India has. In fact, many countries don't even have five, and we have five within the state itself. So the connectivity is very important when you talk about Aurangabad, when you talk about other places. That kind of focus is very critical to make sure that that much footfall can be generated and that much of presence is created in the market where people remember and recognize that, oh, that is the place we must go. So I think it's all about when you say why people are not coming, another aspect to why India is a long haul flight for most European countries and for US. So you would be aware that people in Europe, when they plan to come to India, they plan at least 6 months to 9 months in advance because they have to decide. It is not like, oh, us going to Singapore or other countries where it's a 3 hour, 4 hour flight. And because of this, we need to make sure that our infrastructure after a person comes here, because typically Europeans and foreigners, what we call foreigners, that is Europeans and Americans, are spending between 9 to 15 days over here since it takes so long to come. So we have to make sure that in the 9-15 days, we can pack and ensure maximum. So that is the reason why many years ago, there was a lot of complaints on the visa fee that India is to charge. So now they have reduced it. So these bottlenecks need to be very systematically removed. And on-ground infrastructure, if they improve for all tourists, whether they are foreigners, whether they are Indian, if the infrastructure on ground improves for all tourists, I think that will be a huge booster for tourism as a whole.
So when you are talking about the infrastructure of lately, we have seen that yes, it is improving, but not the pace what in other countries. And when we talk about USA's infrastructure is supposed to be one of the best infrastructure because they have invested years back on their roads, etc. And that's why the people have no fear. And as you rightly said, that when a person is coming after 10 or 15 hours of flight to India, they require to be here for 10-15 days. And generally in Europe and Western countries, they always hire a self-driven car. In India, can you hear me, Dr.
Sir, I'm
Kamath?
sorry, I lost your point.
Dr. Kamath, can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. Sorry, sir, I lost your point.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is that after a flight of 10 to 15
10-15 days,
hours
correct.
in India, And generally, the Europeans and the Western countries, people want to have a self-drive car, which is a very common for them. Wherever, even if they are going from one city to other city, they always prefer to be their own. In India, that concept, although it has started but not yet picked up. The reason, as you mentioned about infrastructure, do you think that we must concentrate and try to give the best infrastructure, world-class infrastructure in place, at least for those tourists who are coming in those tourist hubs? What do you say about that? You are muted. Please unmute.
No, sir. I think the most important part is to create infrastructure which is good enough for whether world class or India class. I don't think Indian infrastructure, if done right, world class or otherwise. But basic infrastructure is basic. For example, good quality roads. Now, you rightly mentioned that self-driving is a great option today. There are so many of these operators who allow you to self-drive. So that itself has created a new segment of tourists who can travel very easily, very nicely, and visit as per their schedule.
You are muted. Dr. Kamath, you are on mute. Yeah,
They
please.
they
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, they don't need to follow only the locations or the areas that have been charted for them. And I think that itself opens up a huge opportunity for tourism as a whole. So let us build infrastructure, whether world class just for foreigners. I'm not in favor of creating where only we are working towards foreigners or we are working for foreign tourists. I think tourist is a tourist from wherever he comes, and government should work on encouraging tourism as a whole. That tourism multiplier effect is what will give a huge impact overall. So I think infrastructure, basic infrastructure also have improved, even in a small way. Can be sometimes we tend to get hindered thinking, oh, बहुत ही कुछ hi-fi करना है. It's not about doing something hi-fi. It's starting first at the grassroots level and then taking it forward from there and building it up. Rome was not built in a day. So, but we have to make those steps. Today, if you see the kind of expressways that we have, or the kind of roadway connectivity which has greatly improved and allowed new areas to be accessible, that is what we are talking about. The pace which needs to be improved a little bit faster, and definitely a additional focus on tourism. Like I'll give an example of Kamath's. When we started these restaurants on the highways, that itself created a very good infrastructure for people having a clean toilet, a good restaurant on the highway where people naturally have to take breaks every 2 to 3 hours. Does that mean that restaurants were not existing before? No, but they were not the type which was good enough. Is a Kamath's a very high-end place? No, it's not. It's for the masses, but it's good enough. It's clean, and you get hot, healthy, hygienic food. So these are the basic things which we need to just focus on, which in itself will allow the tourism to grow in a big way.
Do you think, Dr. Kamath, apart from infrastructure, the safety, the safe sense of the safety, which is very important, because when a tourist goes to any of the country, if the country's condition is not that much safe, that they feel that if there are some attacks or some things which have been projected by the media, the people feel to go and they feel scared to go. Like if you are traveling anywhere in the world, even after the 9/11, whatsoever has happened, but US has come out and now they are not talking about that. Rather, they have made that place as a tourist hub. People are going there and watching, and there it's not that horror thing that people have any fear to go there. In India, still, because when we were having, like, if we are talking of Kashmir, at one time the Kashmir was paradise, and people even say, and in fact also, that it's better than Switzerland. But for last so many years, so much insurgency was there, and somehow either our leaders or our media is projecting the country that we are having lots of terrorist hubs in those places which are basically a very, very beautiful tourist place. Do you think that the government should have come emphasize that at least we must not highlight unnecessarily those shortcomings, or I will not say the shortcoming, I will say those things which are a very small in nature, but created in such a way that the tourist, whether domestic or international, feel fear to go. What you say about that?
No, sir, I think you've said it perfectly, spot on. That we should make sure that these things are happening. We are not trying to hide anything under the carpet, but definitely we should not unnecessarily stress it, blow it out of proportion, and highlight it. And unfortunately, the points that you mentioned are a factor of mixing of agendas. There are too many agendas on, and those agendas are getting mixed up. If you see, for example, Israel is also having a very, though their whole economy depends on defense. A large part of their economy, they have realized, depends on tourism, and they are doing tourism with the simple reason of educating people about Israel so that there are no misconceptions about Israel. So they have made their agenda very clear that we want people to come and see how wonderful Israel is, so that any negative publicity about us can be counteracted by people having a positive experience about Israel. Now, when any incident happen at Israel, it is there for a short time and it is out. Even in the Israeli press, any incident that happens, it is not blown out of proportion. They put it because they know, as you rightly said, that creating a safe environment, at least in people's minds, is the responsibility of the government. What incidents physically happen or actually happen, some amount is bound to happen because that is the nature of urban life, or that is the nature of being human. Certain things, incidents will happen. But as you rightly said, blowing it out of proportion, focusing on it, highlighting only on those aspects can be very detrimental for country as a whole. And unfortunately, when the agendas get mixed up, we need to have a clear agenda. We want people to feel safe.
You have muted, Dr. Kamath. You have muted yourself.
We want to create an enabling environment, and in such a scenario, it's very important that that be created. So we need to focus on it. The government needs to be clear and clearly create that environment for the media also, where they are not stressing or highlighting on these things.
When you are talking about like Israel or any other country, how they are projecting themselves internationally, don't you think that India should also take a very actively or predominantly in the soft skills, because of what happened today, that India's things which are not being projected outside the country, like culture, our in India. Dr. Kamath, just tell me, is any other device is connected with your Wi-Fi? Because if any other device is connected, then this problem always comes. Even in London, I have found. If any other, please ask them to log out. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Dr. Kamath? Are you there?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. The perils of work from home and uh,
No,
who are
that's
hogging the, who are
can
watching it.
can you just come on the mobile, because it will not work. I have seen in London 5G. If any other thing come on that thing, immediately it will
Correct.
be.
So, sir,
So
I've put on mobile now. I've put on mobile now, sir. I'm sorry for the
please
disturbance.
put on. Meanwhile, I'm asking the
Yes, sir.
question which you can hear.
Please. Yeah.
My point is that the Indian government should, in their embassies abroad, must give them the cultural highlights. Like if you recall, I don't think that you have that, but I at least can say, and those who knows, in early 60s, the Soviet Union used to sell their products in India, and on a very cheap products, means like calendars, diaries, for a very throwaway prices, and they used to participate in almost all the exhibitions, small or big, in India. The idea was to penetrate and showcase their culture, what culture they are having. That was the idea at that time.
Correct.
Even I don't know whether you are aware or not, China is having 7 universities in India which are operating and where they are teaching and they are showcasing their own culture. Our culture is very rich, and you have seen. So, don't you think the government should also push, as you initially mentioned, that the tourism is such a big thing, and we are concentrating on manufacturing. Government should also give that push, and it will earn the foreign exchange, or even the domestic earning is going to be so much that it is going to be another GDP grosser. What do you say about that?
Precisely, sir. You're again spot on. See, India's culture is extended and got extended over a number of years, right till Japan, till Europe, till everywhere. Today, if you see something as simple as yoga, the Beatles, they came to Rishikesh to experience a different type of culture, understand about dharma, yogi, and if you see Steve Jobs, he was also greatly affected by his time in India. So our culture has been taken far and wide. Our philosophies have been taken far and wide. But yes, until we incubate it. In fact, this is a very good thing for me, and I would afterwards offline love to understand more. But I was not aware that there are 7 universities of China. So people are doing a lot for themselves. If you see, because of Indian kings, Hinduism, Buddhism, so many things today. India has been responsible for more than 5 religions to be born from this very land, and that itself is a very big binding force. We must utilize our history, our culture, and our traditions in a very successful manner. Today, if people even in UK or even in US are doing Ganpati Visarjan, it is a fact of the connectivity which our heritage and culture has reached. So these all things must be encashed and utilized in a very successful manner, which maybe we are a little bit short selling ourselves.
Like you have mentioned about yoga, I was very surprised. I will not use the word shocked. I was in Hawaii 2 years back, and on the Honolulu beach, I saw early morning when I was on my morning walk. There are about 40, 50 people, young and old, and they were doing yoga on the beach. Now, with the instructor and all those things, and they all have their yoga mats, and they were doing. Now, how many such types of things are happening in India daily wise, not on the yoga day? We just talk of yoga day. What about every day? Now, if a
Hmm.
person like me, if I am going there and if I'm watching this thing, it gives me an immense pleasure. But when I go to in any beach of India and I'm not finding people are doing yoga in such a way, a very clean atmosphere without any comments from anyone, don't you think that can be again something which can be promoted in India in a big way by the hotel industry as well as by the government, so that like you are talking beaches like Goa or even Odisha or even in Karnataka, Kerala, why not they develop these types of things which have without any much expenditure? What do you say about that?
Yes, sir. So I think in that sense, Kerala has done a fantastic job. They have taken Ayurveda and they have these Ayurvedic tours where you come for 15 days, 21 days, detox tours, and all types of facility around Ayurveda. So when you go to Kerala, you will be totally immersed in different forms of Ayurveda all around. Every single hotel in Kerala, practically every single hotel in Kerala, most of they serve you one. I may be mispronouncing it, but it's called chiklapudi. It is like a medicated water, red color, some bark of trees, and you drink this medicated water. So they have created that whole environment where everywhere you go, you are being subjected to that USP of that place. So obviously, when you think of Goa, you think of Goa shacks. You think of sitting on the beach and having a chilled beer and good food. So everywhere these things need to be highlighted. It doesn't cost a lot of money, as you rightly said. It could be yoga, it could be something else, it could be spiritualism, it could be health, it could be anything. But yes, those things can be highlighted in a much bigger way, and there is a very strong a very strong pull for those kind of things.
Uh, when you are talking about the culture, today, if you see anywhere in the world, they have their own culture, but that culture is not that old like in India. Okay. But still they highlight. People are going. I went to Hawaii and I was very disappointed to see, because what they were projecting or showcasing is nothing what we have in every state. Even I will say not even a state, in a region of a particular state, different culture is there. Like when I went there and they said that there is a evening show dances, Hawaiian dances, Hawaiian show. Now it's projected in India. Everybody says, "Oh, if you are going to Hawaii, please watch that show." There is nothing great. We have such type of cultural activity in all the states, like in Karnataka and especially in Mangalore side, we have Yakshga. We have if you go to Uttar Pradesh, we have Ras Leelas, we have Ram Leelas, we have and in all states they have different dances, they have different musical programs, but they are not highlighted. The reason can be that India, because of so much diversity, we cannot, if we will highlight 10 things, the purpose is defeated. They highlight one thing and they achieve either, or rather, or in other way, we are not at all highlighting. What you say about this?
So I think that's what we have so much to offer. Sometimes we are taking many things for granted. I think we should appreciate our diversity. We should highlight different things also is good because different things appeal to different people. I might be one day on the beach doing a Goa carnival, and next day I might be interested in doing yoga also. So I think there's nothing wrong in that. We are only creating the mental barriers for ourselves where we say ऐसा ही करना चाहिए या वैसे ही करना चाहिए. क्यों नहीं? क्योंकि different people enjoy different things. One can enjoy ballet also and enjoy rock music also. There are different moods. There are different times. So each of these different aspects can definitely be enjoyed by different people. But yes, as you said, maybe there are different angles, different agendas, and that creates sometimes a burden because everything if everything works in a unified direction, and the fact is clear that we are a tourism state and we want to promote this, or we are a tourism region and we want to promote this, then definitely the entire focus shifts and it becomes very easy then to highlight and get that boost. And states like Rajasthan, states like Goa, states like Kerala, these they are the torch bearers to show that it can be done. Goa has been attracting maximum number of foreign tourists for the last nearly 25-30 years. I'm sure Rajasthan and Kerala now of late are very much there. But in 1980s, in late 80s or early 90s, when Goa decided that, oh, this is a market that we can capture, and today, 30 years later, look where Goa is. I mean, Goa is such an amazing destination because every Indian goes to Goa, of course. And it's a kind of destination where people go repeatedly. Mind you, any other foreign country, you tell कि अरे यार उधर तो जा चुके हैं, वो तो देखा है. I mean, how many people are going to Paris 2 times a year? How many people are going, if not for work, to Singapore as a tourist 2 times a year? But Goa, people are going minimum 2 times a year, whether from Delhi, Gujarat, Bombay. So that is the power which a good destination can make, where that lasting impact, where that experiential tourism, people will keep coming back. And yes, things like yoga, Goa is not a destination anymore. Goa is like a lifestyle. So things like yoga, things like different things that are there, we can make that a lifestyle product where people accept it and people do it as part of their lifestyle, which will make sure that there's a repeated engagement.
When you're talking about lifestyle and culture, Dr. Kamath, everybody knows that the culture and the lifestyle of even the regions, the states, or the countries are different. We have a mindset that the Western culture will influence us. The Western culture influence should not be on our youngsters, on our youth. And that's why we are very conservative. We are many times we think apart from one state, like you can say Goa, other states have lots of reservation when if a foreigners comes, because their culture is that they can wear less clothes, one can say. They can openly drinks, even they have no, because that is their part of their culture. But Indians feel that they are this will be influencing them. While when Indians go abroad, I have never seen that Indians are influencing their culture by what they are wearing, what they are eating. Yes, people are accepting vegetarian food. People are going for Jain food, etc. But that is a limited thing. That is everywhere in India. India also we have Chinese food or Lebanese food, etc., etc. But to have reservation, and that's why people are not encouraging the tourism and having lots of restrictions that you cannot come here because you are not wearing proper clothes, or you are not you are having such type of food is not available. Do you think that is also one of the barrier for the international tourist, even for the domestic tourist?
Good point, sir. Yes, this is a problem, but we should, that's the whole point. We need to be open minded. Where we see we are happy and we are talking about influencing foreigners. Let them get influenced with our yoga, let them get influenced with our festivals, let them get influenced with our food. But we don't want to open our mind to their culture, their food. See, to accept or not accept is always our choice, right? But to close our mind is foolishness. I'll give you a very simple example. So, in these kind of situations, when we say, "Oh, they should take what we are giving, but we should not take what they are giving," I think that is very hypocritic. But yes, you have hit the nail on the head. Where it's unfortunate because yes, for political reasons, certain states create that kind of perception. But we have good examples in front of us. See, Goa has marketed itself as a beach destination, and what are you going to wear on the beach? You're not going to go in a night dress on the beach. Whereas Rajasthan, if you see, has projected itself as a cultural center, and accordingly, they are getting people who are not looking to party, who are not looking to fun and frolic. They are looking at people who are interested in heritage, interested in culture, interested in seeing beautiful monuments, interested in seeing royalty, living life like a royalty. And so they are getting people who are one rich tourists. If you see the profile of Rajasthan, they are getting a profile who's much richer because they are already 40, 45, 50 plus. They've already made good amount of money. Now they want to see the world, experience different things. Whereas Goa is attracting a completely different market. And Kerala is also attracting mainly a honeymooner market, even in India or from abroad. People who want to enjoy the serenity of backwaters, the calmness, the stillness, and back to nature. So these are ways in which we have to be open-minded. That when we want to showcase our things to the world, we also need to be open-minded to ensure that we also at least keep an open mind. So many Indians I know who go abroad and they don't eat the foreign food, even if they can. Some people might be vegetarian, but I'm sure in most of the destinations there's so many vegetarian things to have. But they will carry their own food, they will carry their own packed lunch. In some of the Indian tours, they are traveling with their own Maharaj. So why is if travel is just to tick mark, oh हमने ये destination देखा, Eiffel Tower देखा, ये देखा, वो देखा, then you are missing out a big part of what traveling means.
When you are talking about the culture, and don't you think in India, even the media, if you remember, there used to be an advertisement of Incredible India, in which when our famous cine mega star Amir Khan used to appear, they were showcasing how the taxi driver is misbehaving with the foreign tourist. Don't you think it's a negative impact? Even if the people are not aware, they feel, oh, in India, people are misbehaving like this. One has to be very cautious. We are, instead of giving a positive message, which the advertisement meant, we are giving a negative message in the subconscious. In India, the taxi drivers or the cab drivers can behave like this. One. Secondly, you spoke about Rajasthan. Today, as you have toured, you have gone there, how many Indian tourists, especially the ladies as a tourist, has been raped in any of the tourist destination across the world? And how many have been raped? A foreign tourist in India. Even if single is raped, it is highlighted everywhere in the world. Don't you think it gives a very, very negative impact? Instead of that, come out with a positive thing. Plus, is safety. Again, I'm emphasizing, unless a person is totally feel that he is or she is safe, they can give a very, even domestically, people are afraid to go alone many times, and in many of the states which have lots of beauty. Even so, what you say about that first?
No, so this is a cultural problem for our culture, because the men think that they can do anything. So typically, if you see certain places where this kind of male chauvinism is culturally accepted in that society itself, then obviously that gets extended onto foreigners, because that mindset doesn't change. In fact, it feels easier, because you say, "अरे क्या कर सकते हैं, वो तो इधर है भी नहीं." They might not know anybody here, this that. So wherever this is a societal problem which we need to address first, and we need to change our people's mindset accordingly. So this is basically an extension of our regression or our shortcoming as a society, where we need to change our perspective of not just foreign women, but of women as a whole. So as far as safety goes, safety stems from the fact that people feel that there is no risk, or there is no punishment, and I will not be held accountable for my actions. So we need to make strengthen things there, where these things are taken very, very speedily, that justice is delivered speedily, and that justice is delivered visibly. See, if justice is not seen, then people will lose faith in the system, which is what, there is no loss of faith, but people feel कि यार वो तो चलते ही रहेगा.
So that is the reason.
So that
In
means that,
India,
and that is something.
yeah, in
That is
India
something
we
we
have,
need to do.
yeah. So in India we have lots of safaris where wild and animals and whatnot. We how many? Because we are not taking the advantage of those safaris. In you might have seen abroad, people are going alone, traveling alone in the night, with the definitely the guided that you can have the jeep and everything. In India, so much restrictions are there, and do you think that is also one of the reason of hurdle for a tourist to come and go to those safaris?
Yes, when you said we have so many animals, I thought you're linking it to the previous question, because yes, some of our people do behave like animals with tourists. So, but these these are issues like the forest department. India has some of the strictest and most rigorous wildlife and forest rules anywhere in the world. If really the rules are followed, then India would be a haven for wildlife and natural tourism, because the law is very protective about forest areas and wildlife. But again, what has happened is certain ground realities. What is written in paper is not implemented in reality, and sometimes for self-interest or for vested interest, those rules are extra vigilantly followed, where the law is, let's say, given for some benefit. Hereby it is misused in the form of harassment, with the intention to get some personal benefit of the department, of the people involved. So that is when these problems arise, either where the law is strict and the implementation is poor, or the law was soft, but those things are intentionally misinterpreted by the department or by the people in charge, with the intention that you pay them off, so that अरे यार इसको relax कर दो. So I think these modifications are required, and certain ground realities need to be adhered to. We have got beautiful places like Kana, Gir, which are very, very popular with wildlife enthusiasts. There are so many bird sanctuaries in India itself. So that all, yes, modification is required to the extent where it becomes a hurdle to showcasing people more and more natural beauty. But in most cases, I can tell you the laws are just overzealously implemented with the angle. In the end, जो होना है वही होता है, but पैसा देके होता है. So if we can make it smooth, definitely it will be much easier, and then the things can be regulated.
I will give an example of people are going to USA to see the Niagara Fall. How many in India knows that Asia is one of the biggest fall is in Asia, and that is Jogs Fall in Karnataka. But I will tell you, I went there and I was so much disappointed. No clean toilets, no proper eateries. If you are going after driving 2 hours from the last destination, you require clean toilets, you require something to eat. There is nothing. And if you are showcasing that something local, it's not a question of local. When the tourist is coming from the different, because India is such a different thing. People are vegetarian, people are without onion garlic, people are very much many other things. But if you have something which you cannot even try to take, how you will attract that tourist? Although the government has tried to privatize that thing, it was objected, and unfortunately the person who has taken has become bankrupt, and that's why that the project has gone down. Otherwise, in India, if you go anywhere, so much beauty. Why? What is the reason? Is that, again, I am coming to the point, we are either we are corrupt to the extent that we are not interested, as you mentioned, money se de ke sab kaam hota hai, that we are not interested to create that hubs, or we are afraid that they will invade our privacy, they will influence our culture, and that's why we are happy. We don't want any tourist, even from domestically, who is coming from other states. What you say about that?
So I think first thing is that tourism is such a small part of everybody's mindset that they don't understand the seriousness. So that is the first part. Again, it comes back to what we discussed earlier, that basic infrastructure at these locations, at most of these locations, and very prominent locations. Jog Falls is not a small destination. It's a very well-known destination, and is a very important destination. But if this is the condition here, you can imagine what is the condition at even or equally more important places, but which may not have that kind of footfall. There the condition is even worse. So basic infrastructure is what is creating the problem, and then that creates the pollution, that creates the tourism nuisance. Because there is no proper toilet, what are people going to do? They are going to start, if I have children, they cannot hold it, you will on the side of the road, they'll have to do that. Creates a dirtiness. That dirtiness, people say, "Arey yaar, I don't want tourists." Why I don't want tourists? They create nuisance. So the cycle can be broken just by creating good infrastructure. As you rightly said, good food courts is important because people want choice. I might like the local food, but today I don't want to eat the local food, or I want to eat something different, or I want to eat something light. Or many people who go to Kerala and other southern states from north, they cannot take the smell of the coconut oil. So it's a cultural difference which we have to accept, and we have to give, as you rightly said, people choice. Then only the place people will feel, oh, it's so convenient to travel over here because सब जगह सब चीजें मिल जाती हैं. So we have to, and this is government responsibility to ensure that infrastructure is created, not run by the government. Infrastructure should be created or motivated by the government, but run by private individuals only, because government job is to create long-term infrastructure, not to create hurdles by themselves being in business.
Okay. See, I will tell you now one more aspect. Our hill stations are one of the best hill stations, whether if you are talking of Kashmir side, or even Mussoorie, Nainital, Mahabaleshwar, Panchgani, many places, Kurg, many places. But we are not encashing it. Why I'm saying using the word? I had been to one place in USA, very not known here, but there people say Vermont is a very. I went there. Nothing, not such a hill station what we have in India. But what they have done, uh, 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 Dr. Kamath, are you there? Dr. Kamath,
Yes,
can you?
sir, Vermont has become famous with the famous West Virginia country roads take me home.
okay. But what they have done is they have created the outlet malls. What the outlet malls concept which they have created is that where if you are going to a particular tourist space, you will find with the branded or whatsoever items at a very cheaper rate without any taxation. Government is not charging in tax. So if you want to buy, even I will say the example of a Nike shoe, if you are buying from the proper shop and if you are going to buy there, you will be getting almost 70% discount. So people are going there. The purpose is just to have a tourism as well as for purchasing. And the advantage is they are engaging all locals to be in the mall as an employee. So they are creating the job. They are bringing the tourists. More and more hotels and resorts developed there, and people are very happy. It's a win-win situation for everyone. Don't you think in India we have lots of potential? Only thing is the government should decide. At one time, if you remember, Goa was famous because the liquor was very cheap. And people used to
Yes.
go there and now they have made so many restrictions, this restriction. Other countries, there is no restriction. Even in UK or USA, you purchase from any outlet mall and you come from that state to any other state, they have no restriction. What is the problem? If suppose you have somebody is having particular products cheaper in a particular state, allow anyone, let them go there. You also make such type of outlets. I'm not saying the entire city outlets. Job creation, create those outlets in those places, remote places, which can be become a tourist hub. What do you say about that, Dr. Kamal?
No, sir. There are different types of tourism. We think of tourism, unfortunately, in a very microscopic manner, which is purely from the perspective of sightseeing. For us, tourism means only sightseeing. But there are Florida also had this concept where they had so many people coming because of Universal and Disney, because Florida is entirely marshland, swamp. From that swamp, they gave free land, thousands of acres to Disney, to Universal Studios, and they made these amazing theme parks, which world over people are going. So different types of tourism can be made. Shopping is a very big tourism. You gave the example earlier of Singapore, where people are going for electronics. Now, Dubai, people are going for shopping for gold. Today, clothes, fashion, accessories. So one has got an ocean of opportunity, and each area has to decide. There's a lot of things, especially the urban cities, where they may not think that, oh, we have to become a melting pot. So look at Dubai today. Dubai has no culture of its own, if one sees actually. Okay, because Dubai is a fairly a new city. Okay, so or a new state in some sense. While the culture may be originally old, but Dubai as a state has what is Dubai famous for? They have become famous in last 20 years by offering you at one destination culture of 30 countries. You can have the food you want, you can have the malls you want, you can have the experience you want, you have snow world. So they are giving you in one destination the ability to travel in 30 different countries. You can do skiing also in the morning, you can do zip lining also. So they have understood that what we are lacking, how we will convert it to our advantage. So everything has to be seen from their own perspective. So today, a Bombay might offer something different. A Delhi might offer something different, because Delhi, for example, Bombay is having something what Delhi is not. Calcutta has the building, the writers' building, where entire India was ruled from. That is not there with, okay, Delhi has where today India is being ruled from, but Calcutta has where it was originally ruled from. So everybody has something to offer, and a story will have to be built around that. And another great example is New Zealand. Today, New Zealand is selling nature, literally selling nature, selling, because they again have no culture, no heritage to talk of per se, but natural beauty. They are selling their forests, their lamb, of course, they are selling the sheep, they are selling their wool. So they are selling what they have. So these USPs, definitely we also have. But sometimes when God has given you too much, just get relaxed. So maybe that's why today we have got Konkan. We have got so many regions. So
You said relax. I will give you a recent example. Mexico. How many people from India wants to go to Mexico? Very few. But today,
True.
because Mexico route is open for the US,
Oh,
they encash the tourism industry. It's flourishing, and those Indians who are going to Mexico, they are saying, "Wow, we have never seen such beauty. Why we have not come here?" Now they are, so that is what we, when you say relaxation, I said timely action. You have to act immediately. Once the opportunity comes, please encash, even for tourism, which is required. What do you say about that?
no, sir, I liked what you said. Relax, timely action, not relaxation. I think this should be coined into a mantra, Lal Goel ke mantra for tourism to the Indian government, because ये बिल्कुल सही बात है. We are not proactive. We are highly reactive, and that too very late. And तब तक तो गाड़ी चली गई है. So we have got many things on offer, but the other, we are in the end from a tourist perspective, we are competing with other nations. Our own Indians are also looking towards other nations. So we are competing for the same dollar or for the same rupees or wallet spend, what is said. So if we don't create a competitive environment where these things are highlighted, definitely we will fall behind. And if you see the tourism graph of India last so many years, while certain states have done well, overall as India, if you see, we have not got that quantum leap which India should deserves and India is capable of. Somewhere or the other, we have just done incremental growth and stagnated. So that timely action is missing from the it's not about this government. Tourism, if you see in last seven, eight, no, last 10 budgets, in fact, maybe before that also, but last 10 budgets, the word tourism has not even come as part of the national budget. Something as important as that has not even been mentioned. So, that is the kind of,
When you say about Dr. Kamath about the finance, now we have, now in other countries, like I am in right now in London, UK, here everything they are making a money spinning thing. Like example, Lords. We are watching the television match going on in Lords Stadium. But very few knows that those Lords, all these stadiums, even cricket stadiums, even the football stadiums, whether Manchester United or whatnot, even the Wimbledon, they have tours every day. So you can go there when it is ideal, when there is no plays on. So, and they are charging, say, the normal charge at 5 years back, I paid 20 pounds per head, although for senior citizen they were giving 5 pound discount. So one can imagine, and it was full because every batch was 25. Now you can multiply, and batch was for half an hour from morning to evening. It's almost full every day. Can't we have so many stadiums. We uh, we everyone saw when our Captain Ganguly at one time just wave his t-shirt like this from that particular balcony. But nobody has gone inside. How many have gone inside? In that tour, they are showing and they are mentioning, "Oh, you are from India. This is that infamous balcony incident what took place by you." Although they were not happy. Britishers are very, conservative. But
correct.
we feel, okay, Ganguly was standing here. Our players are sitting here. How they goes. In Manchester United, I have seen how the team was briefed, how they go, how they were received, how the stadium. These things, feelings can be developed in India without any extra cost. Without any extra cost. Why we cannot do? We have so many stadiums. We have so many things to showcase. Forget about monuments. We have in the and this is a money spinning thing. What do you say about this, Dr. Kamath?
Yes, sir. This come back to maybe same thing. We have so many things to showcase that everything gets left out. They are there is no timely action, as you already mentioned, about tourism. There is no focus on tourism, and then just for token measures, sometimes they do little bit here, little bit there, thoda idhar, thoda udhar, wo karte hain. So that doesn't give the end result that we are capable of. These stadiums, so many of these is So when joke falls is not having the facility where the stadiums will have. So we have got so much to do, but we have to start somewhere, and it starts first by creating a mindset where there should be a seriousness towards tourism. Then automatically things will fall in place. The guides, the tours, the dedicated guides for a particular destination. I went to Orissa and or even to Ajanta Ellora. So certain monuments, certain places, they have that facility, and when you see it with a guide, and it tells you, oh, look at this ceiling on top, look at this thing, and one small trivia, oh, this snake, you'll never find its tail, and this, and these all things create that excitement, create that wonderful atmosphere where you get even more motivated, and you appreciate the beauty of the things. Like you said, by creating a relevance, you appreciate it more. So that is something we are definitely lacking. We've got so much to showcase. So many famous things have happened here, um, both relevant and both of recency and old. But yeah, we are not highlighting it, and we're not linking it to people.
Don't you think, Dr. Kamath, some reasons are the political also? Because we are having a federal system. States are governed by different, some there, few of the states now, but which are not under the same rule as in the central government. And that's why we sometimes highlight even the central government or the media highlights the shortcomings of that particular state in such a way that it gives a very bad impact domestically, internationally. I will give an example of Kerala. COVID cases increasing, and it has become a highlight that the Kerala is the COVID hub. Now, Kerala, as everybody knows, is a destination, as you mentioned. Now, what impact? Now, if I will ask you, which is the hub in UK, which is having more COVID, in which state, I am sure you will not be able to say. You will say UK is having 24,000 cases yesterday, but you don't know whether it is in Sussex or Manchester or in London, where. Similarly, in USA, everybody knows, not everybody, I say very few knows that the California is right now the hub. But and you mentioned about the Florida. But how many people? Because they know that if they will do that, it is going to harm their tourism domestically, internationally to Florida. And right now in USA, post-COVID, right now in this time, the tourism is taking a very in a very big way. And they have supported all the hotel industry. They have supported the government has supported even the airlines. They have supported. They provided them the loans free of interest and with a moratorium of 1 year or 1.5 years. So they survived during this pandemic time, and now they are encashing. As you know, the cost of the ticket, even from India to London, the day the London has opened, how much that has gone up. Now, these all things are lacking or intentionally. Do you think there should be a good understanding between the state government and the central government, and they should not highlight unnecessarily those things which harm the domestic as well as international tourists? What do you say about that?
So tourism is very low on the entire agenda of the state or central governments. There are larger agendas at play. Sadly, we are always in election mode, and somewhere or the other elections are happening. So we are always in a propaganda mode. So because of that, that creates a harm for tourism, because tourism is also about a sentiment. As you rightly said, you will not travel if your physical safety is not there. You'll defer it. You'll think, अरे अगर अगर टाल सकते हो तो टाल देते हैं. So that is definitely a loss to the state as a whole and to the people, because the real beneficiaries of tourism are its people, because when they provide the service, that money remains in the state, and that money comes to the people. So it's a loss of the people, but unfortunately, the agendas are larger, the stakes are larger than few employment created by tourism. Power is a bigger motivator than employment. So that is the reason why we see these things happening, where even if somebody's name gets spoiled or the state's name gets spoiled or even the country's name gets spoiled, uh, it's okay. There are some larger agenda at play.
when we are talking of the country, in India, we have temples showcase because
Correct.
majority are Hindus. Lord Krishna is the deity, and it's a everybody knows. But if you go today to the birthplace of Lord Krishna, that is Mathura, from where I belongs, Lord, the birthplace, that Janam Bhumi, is under siege. It's totally in such a security level that one feel fear to go inside because of that much security, which even not your airport is having. Now, when this is the situation, how you expect the tourist, domestic tourist, and even the international tourists to go? Even one more example, I visited Akshardham, Delhi. Now, Akshardham, they made very beautiful, huge, but the restriction was that you cannot take your mobile phone inside. So it means I have to leave it in the car, and we went there. Although the driver was there. When I came out, there are thousands and thousands of cars. How you will identify you don't have the mobile phone? Now, when this is the situation, how the tourist would like to go again in such a beautiful place? Don't you think the government should come out with such a scheme or the things that without compromising the security? I'm not saying compromise with the security, but in such a way that it should not be visible that you are having such type of thing. Like you are going anywhere in the world, any mall, they will not frisk you.
Correct.
But in India, they feel that we are thieves. We are taking out something. You should have electronic gadgets in such a way that you cannot pick anything and go out. Don't you think that is
Correct.
also one of the very bad giving impact on a tourist?
Deterrence.
Deterrence? Yes.
Yes, sir.
What you
This is
say?
one of the deterrents. Yes, sir. This is definitely one of the deterrents. And I'll give you a parallel example. Look at when you go internationally at airport. In India, every single person is frisked, scanned, checked. Okay. But over there, they tell you put everything in the X-ray machine. If you go through the metal ray and if it rings, if it alarm comes, then only we will frisk you. Because of that, the speed, because everybody is not being physically checked, so that with so many passengers that walk through the field is much better. Without compromising on security, they have achieved their objective. So similarly, as you said, there are ways to make the security tight without being overt. Here, there seems to be more intention of displaying the security very overtly in your face, rather than actually trying to create an environment of security. Here, the idea is कि security है तो दिखाओ, and it could be a fallout of maybe VIP culture. I don't know. It could be that also. If we think about openly, where somebody in India is not considered so famous if he doesn't have 5-6 bodyguard around him. So the monument also should feel it is of that importance कि इतना security, इतने बंदोबस्त है कि maybe that feeling is there कि these particular locations or destinations are of such prime importance कि देखो हमने कितना security provide किया है. It could be a fallout or a stemming out from that.
Okay, now we have discussed many aspects. I think we tried to cover almost everything. Now, as a expert, as a thought leader, what do you think the government should do so that the tourists, like what we have our topic today, how to make India a tourist hub? Now we would like to discuss on that. So my question again, now my question is to you directly, how to make India a tourist hub? Dr. Kamath, what you say about that?
I think first is start with wanting to make India a tourist hub, not just saying, but really wanting to make India a tourist hub. And then second is infrastructure. Create even basic infrastructure which is good enough. Automatically tourism will thrive in India. And the third is cultural sensitivity, to respect, to get other people to respect our culture, and at the same time to respect the tourist culture wherever he's coming from, whether from India or from abroad or from different states. but to respect their culture also and understand their thoughts and feelings. And yes, give them that space where they can also be themselves. So both ways. So these three things, if we do, definitely we can. There is nothing to stop us from becoming a tourist hub. And if you see certain destinations and states have already done it, they are a tourist hub, and people come there today. People are coming to Goa because it's Goa, not because it's in India. They are going because they want to go to Goa. People are coming to Kerala because it's Kerala. Of course, Rajasthan sells itself as part of India because that's the whole cultural heritage land of Maharajas is what they are selling. But Goa is selling itself as Goa. Kerala is selling itself as Kerala. So that they are in India is incidental from a tourist perspective, because so these things can definitely be done, and these states these states show us the way.
Uh, Dr. Kamath, you mentioned again Goa, although we have still some more time to discuss. So I am coming to the point of Goa. If you recall, in recent times, Goa has started observing a musical events, a very big musical event every year, in which thousands and thousands people used to participate. And the hotel industry there used to say that our maximum income is because of that musical fair, because they says New Year is a good time, but New Year people comes and go, so that is we are not earning. But in musical, people come, they become as a tourist, they move here and there, and they club it. But of lately, there hurdles were created in those musical programs. Lots of hurdles were created. Do you think the government should dedicate, although they have a ministry, but that minister is having no say? They should have involved more stakeholders, a committee or whatsoever, where the actual people can give them the ideas that what can be done. A person like you, the government should involve them. Like we have seen the COVID time, they have made the COVID expert committee, which is giving recommendation to the government, do this, do that. Why not every state or every district should have a committee related with the tourism only, which the work of that committee is not only on papers. Every week or every fortnight they should meet, discuss what is the footfall in this week, why the footfall has gone down, or what is the reason the footfall has increased, what we can do. Seriously, we have to do this thing. Then only you think it can improve. What you say about this?
So again, it stems from what we discussed previously. That first, even this task force or this committee, to either form or to be heard, there needs to be a seriousness. These kind of activities which you mentioned, where this this very famous show, which in fact states or certain places fight for getting this kind of show and try and win that this show should be at our place, because that show itself is a crowd puller, is a destination in itself, because people are coming for that show. So it's a great loss, and it's a loss to the state of Goa from a taxation and perspective. It's a loss to the state from a footfall perspective, and it's a loss to the people of Goa, because they would have benefited maximum, because these people, this money, this exposure that Goa would have got on this event is immense. Today,
So
people know Goa is because people say, "Oh, are you going for that festival? Are you going for this thing? Where is it? It's in Goa." So I think these kind of things, people should take it very strongly, as a failure of government to continue something which has been going on so well for so many years.
now I'm putting blame on my own. That is the media. Don't you think that today the media is also become very irresponsible? How many, if you remember, again, I will say, I don't know whether initially the radio, when we were not having television, we used to listen classical music, all those artists who are the real maestros, whether Ustad Bismillah Khan or Pandit Ravi Shankar, their music used to be there. We are only now watching them on a special occasion for a moment. Otherwise, we don't know who are our classical artists, the classical art which India is having. The media is not interested to showcase any of our own culture thing. They are only interested in breaking news. They are only interested to shows where their more TRP will go up. Don't you think the media should also have certain responsibility to showcase and highlights our positive things which we have abandoned? We have so much, which I am sure you have also traveled. I have also traveled a lot. I found that whatsoever they are showing, these are nothing what we have. I will give you a small example. I went to, as I mentioned about the Hawaii, because recently before COVID, I went there, and now I have come to this time. Still, I just finished my quarantine 10 days. There, they
Mhm.
were charging money for a tour, and they were showing how to peel the coconut. And they were asking to the tourists, there are three eyes on in the coconut. And people were in India, we know very well. And how to peel a coconut. Now they were showing, and they were showing how to take out and how to cut. And they were charging money, and people were paying very happily, and they were watching. We have so many things in India which we can show. Nature, as you said, the nature, New Zealand has sold the nature. In India, what we have so much nature with us. What we are lacking, nothing except the will, the mindset. What you say about this, Dr. Kamal?
No, precisely. And we've got so many things. Our exposure at an early age of so many things. Medical tourism, the kind of medical tourism today, we are having the best doctors, we are having the best. But then again, if you see the kind of certain rules, sometimes one tries to go in a good direction. So to answer your first question about media, the media in the end is a business. It's a business of getting maximum viewership. And viewership, if you want maximum viewership, you will sell, or you'll try and show what you feel will garner maximum eyeballs. Now, as we see in any country, just like foreigners are more interested in our culture, we are also more interested in foreigners' culture, because किसी के भी घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. So we treat they are also not, how many people know, how many people in US know how the Britishers were fought, or what are the old things that that they also don't know, but they are more interested in India, snake charmers, Taj Mahal, whatever their perception is. So this is bound to happen. We should not let it restrain us, or feel that, oh, our youth is going waywardly and all. Because if you see classical music, or any of these musics, there is a very large audience for it. Yes, I do agree that the visibility may be poor, but today with YouTube and this thing, anybody who wants to enjoy I enjoy it very often. Different things, right, from Shankar Mahadevan's classical music to Vince, Shakti, the Shakti tours, which is fusion music. So there is an audience, yes, but we cannot only blame media that media should do this, because media is going to show what people want to see. They are not here to do this thing. Yes, government can enhance it by creating or by encouraging students to, in school, make it more compulsory. Just like today languages are compulsory. Yes, one Hindi language, one local language of whichever state it is in, these are compulsory. Like that, yes, in music or art should be made compulsory, and in that there should be a proper curriculum where classical music is also taught, so that even people can understand the difference between rag, sur, tal. They should know that.
Okay.
Definitely government can do.
You mentioned we started with Taj Mahal. Why not government open the Taj Mahal for the night for foreigners only?
Correct.
Charge, no problem. They are ready to
Correct.
pay, but don't allow Indians.
Correct.
Although government has come out with a scheme, but many times somebody objects, and when we make some communal issues and all those things, don't you think that we should overcome all these things? We must above the board, and we must try to sail our tourism, make it tourism as a hub. What you say in short?
Yes,
Only 30 seconds.
sir. I'll tell you, many years ago when I was small, I'm sure you remember, there was Yani, the famous,
Yeah, yeah.
he did a show live at Taj Mahal, a night show. And that
Yes.
time the only channels were there were Star World, and that has been beamed world over and made Taj Mahal even more famous, glamorous, and romantic. So these kind of things can be encouraged. We talk of one show. Previously, we talked of one event at Goa, which people think negatively. But there are classical like this also, which can enhance the. So it is up to us. So your point is spot on that yes, these things should be encouraged.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kamath, for taking my state questions, sometimes googlies also, and you have replied by playing with a straight bat. We are
Thank
in
you, sir.
a mode of cricket because from 25th our test is going to start in Leeds, and I'm in UK, so I was using this word.
Okay,
But
nice.
so thank you very much. And viewers, you have seen India is having lots of potential, and India is a tourist. It was a tourist hub, is a tourist hub, but with lots of potential. We can create a tourist hub in a very, very big way. Lots of things are required. Only thing is mindset has to be changed right from the civil society as well as the government and the media all have to change. We must not try to highlight only negative points which are happening everywhere in the world. It's not that only in
Correct.
India we are having these problems, but if we will just highlight and showcase only those negative points, how we expect that the tourist will come to India and we will be a tourist hub. And today, Dr. Kamath has given almost all the things in a very, very detailed thing. I'm sure today's program is so much enlightening. And if the government, if they will just take the advices of people like Dr. Kamath, who are in this field, definitely the change will be there. And tomorrow we can also be a global leader as far as tourism is concerned. Thank you very much. And today's program has
Thank you,
been
sir,
live
for having me on the
telecast.
show.
Yeah, today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is in the evening program where we call a person who's a achiever and who is a role model for the youth. Today, my chief guest is Dr. M.J. Gupta. He's the president of Kanpur Chest and Allergy Center from Kanpur. He is joining. I will just say that 1 year back, or rather more than 1 year back, somewhere in May, he only declared that till the time India will not get herd immunity either through vaccination or through the infection, India will be having tsunami of the cases, and we have seen. So today he will be telling his own life journey and how he has reached on such a top thing. Thank you very much for joining and giving your so much enlightening replies with full of knowledge, Dr. Kamath, and I wish you all the best. And I'm sure that government will also take, and the civil society will also take it in a very positive way and see to it that we will develop the country as a very, very major tourist hub. Thank you very much. And thank you all the viewers
Thank you,
for
sir.
watching our